Hello, and welcome. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the Real Housewives of New Jersey, Season 12, Episode 3, Review and Recap. Let's get started. Dolores. Dolores. Dolores tells her children, Dad's moving in. Gabby reacts like it's a mortal sin. According to Gabby, Frank can't bring women to the house. His kids are in charge now? Frank wonders, what is this all about? Teresa. Teresa's waking up in the morning thinking about so many things. Now that this is a song Melania sings. Louis wants to help them all communicate. Lest we forget, Joey's the one who likes to regulate. Jennifer. Jennifer gets a call from gal pal Jackie. If you ask me, I feel she was a little bit tacky. By telling Jen Dolores is her frenemy, has Jennifer question Dolores' loyalty. After that, the shit gets real. Dolores versus Jackie, let me know how you feel. Margaret's mouth, once opened, is unusually large. That's probably the reason she thinks she's in charge. She brings her assistant to the party as her yes man. If no one validates Marge, the assistant can. She knows that she's there as a backup plan. Tracy. Tracy stepped on the scene and I asked, who is this lady? Little did I know I'd want more of this Tracy. She appeared to be meek and mild, but I've got a feeling her mouth can get a tad bit wild. Melissa. Melissa, this week you'll give a soliloquy. You brought us Tracy, and that pleases me.
If you'd give her your spot, it'd be my dream come true.
But if she doesn't work out, I'm still blaming you. Jackie. While Evan takes Jackie out for dinner, Jackie admits that she's not okay. Realizing her children are quite aware, she promises to get help right away. What she's talking about is her eating disorder. And I wanted to let you guys know that at the very end of this recap and review, I am going to provide sources for you guys to look into if you need to. Whether you have a loved one who has an eating disorder and you just are looking for support, or if you are the one who has an eating disorder and you want to take that first step. I'm going to provide some resources for you immediately following this review.
Okay, so we are going to get into Dolores first. But before I break down Dolores' scene, let's get into this. All right. We're going to do a little rewind because in the last recap, I noted how Marge got Dolores alone and talked about Teresa at Teresa's party. And when Marge confronted Teresa about Louis, she blatantly looked at Dolores after every statement she made. She brings Dolores with her. I noticed that. And she looks at Dolores every other second. Margaret says something to Teresa, and then she looks immediately at Dolores. And it's weird to me because I didn't understand then, but I do now. See, because after March confidently marched her ass up over there in this episode at that Kegger party in front of everybody and looked Dolores in her face and said, "Oh, you're more my friend. You my friend. You know you my friend. You more my friend." See, booyah. I ain't chow because I knew something was going on. I knew it was. I knew it was by the way she was acting. Plus, in the last recap, in the very last episode, number 2, when they was at that furniture store, the way Margaret was looking at Dolores when Dolores was like, "Oh no, I wasn't on your side," and then we saw Dolores bow down, literally bow down to Margaret, and Margaret just had a face of like, mm-hmm. Okay, now Dolores is talking with her children because it sounds like to me that she had to go ahead and let them move into her townhome, which Marge referred to as a bachelorette pad. Okay. And this is before Dolores was willing to announce that her and David were not together no more. But more on that later. Anyway, so Dolores is talking about, she had to go ahead and let the kids move into her townhome because the renovations are not done yet. So they're talking, and Frank Jr. says, "This one here," talking about his sister, "can't stop complaining. This one here." I love the way they talk. Okay. So anyway, because when he first said "this one here," I'm like, who he talking about? And the camera slides to the sister, and she's like, "What, Frank?" So it seems like she did not want him to say that, but let me tell you something. When somebody put you on blast like that, they tired of hearing it, and he done probably said, "Speak up then, tell mama, tell daddy, tell somebody, stop telling me. Okay, stop telling me." So anyway, Frank Jr. had enough because they also go on to say that Gabby, her personality is rah rah and rough, like, versus Frank Jr., who's more calm, cool, and collected. Okay? So I can only imagine those two together day after day after day, and Gabby's becoming more and more frustrated. I mean, the only person she has to talk to if she decides not to tell the person themselves or the one that may be able to help, I mean, it's your housemate. Point blank, period. No matter what relationship you have, whether it be family, whether it be, a roommate, whether it be relationship, romantic or platonic, when you have a frustrating day or you're frustrated, period, and you come home or you're at home, no matter what the topic is, no matter what made you frustrated, if you don't tell the source of the frustration, which of course will make you more frustrated, the person who has to hear it all is who? Your housemate! So, Frank Jr. as a housemate, he had enough. That's what it looked like to me. Anyway, so then she goes ahead and talks about it, and she says that she called. I was gonna say she called her dad, but what she said was she called Frank. Okay, so apparently we doing that now. Parents are being called by their first name. Mm, 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 mm. So, Gabby calls her dad Frank, and she says that she called Frank and told him how effing hard is it to have a place for me to live. And that's crazy to me because that's disrespectful. All that cussing and animosity, that's disrespectful. Now, comparing that to Teresa's girls telling their Uncle Joey that it hurts their feelings when he talks that way to their mother and talks bad about their dad, I'm all for that. A child letting an adult know that you're hurting my feelings. Just like I said last recap, there's nothing wrong with that. However, this cussing and doing all of this, girl, which is why Dolores said, Gabby, be careful because you're grown. You know what I'm saying? So here's the thing, like, ain't nobody responsible for you but you. Plus, okay. Dolores says she had a temper, Frank has a temper, and Gabby got a temper, just like them. Only one who ain't got no temper is Frank Jr. I mean, he tired of hearing it. He tired of hearing it. He said something like that in the very first episode. Man. And then they call Frank Jr. a pushover. I don't think he's a pushover. I think he just wants peace. Here's the thing. I don't see pushover in Frank Jr. I just see a person who likes their peace, likes to be surrounded by peaceful people. Okay. And when pushed, they know when to say, I've had enough. Let's all talk about this. Once we talk about it and resolve it, let it be squashed. I see Frank Jr. as that type of person. I don't see that behavior as being a pushover. But, of course, I don't know Frank Jr. personally, so we'll see. And to really top off this scene, you guys, um, Dolores tells her children that Frank is going to come back and live in the house with them. And the first thing Gabby says is he can't bring any women home. Okay, this ought to be interesting. Okay, and cut to Gia Judice. All right, doing big things. Okay. So Teresa enters a area, a shop, looks like a boutique, where Gia is doing a little photo session with her and some friends or models, okay, shall I say, for a website which is called hazelboutique.com. At hazelboutique.com, okay, get all the way into it. That's where you can find Gia's line of lounge wear. Okay. Okay. What I should have did was because I'm showing y'all pictures right now, but what I should have did was pulled up some other housewives loungewear lines and compared joggers, anyone? Okay, only the real old school rower fans will know what I'm talking about. But moving right along, so I'm proud of Gia. She doing a darn thing. So then they being Gia and Teresa pulls Melania. They pull Melania to the side to talk to her about the pizza night, which they are happy about. Okay, that made me happy. That made me happy. I've made a pizza from scratch a time or two in my day, but I never had a brick oven to slide it in and slide it out. You know what I'm saying? Like I never was able to put it on fire. I just put it in my oven. But anyway, still delicious. So anyway, Melania is not here for it. She's not here for it at all. She expresses that she doesn't like the way her uncle is handling his frustration with their dad and yelling and screaming at her mom. That ain't cool, you know. So she's just not here for it. Period. Okay. The same way that Joey wasn't here for it going, when invited to Teresa's party. He wasn't here for it either. So let's keep going. And in this scene, we hear Melania say to Gia that she doesn't appreciate the way that Uncle Joey spoke to her. Okay. And Gia, in a confessional, says that Melania is a true daddy's girl. She loves her dad more than anybody in this world. So, she's not here for it. Okay, so the guys meet for drinks. Now, when I say the guys, I'm talking about Joe, Joey, and Frank. And I want you guys to remember that I've already established that I am going to distinguish the Joes this way. Joe is Marge's husband. Joey is Melissa's husband, Teresa's brother. All right. Now, I've always loved when the New Jersey men get together. However, I want it to be all of them. It's not as good to me when it's just a piece of them than it is with all of them. I enjoy the camaraderie of all of them. And I wonder, is it just these three on the road? Okay. Is that why they insisted on just these three? They order drinks, and the very first thing out of Joey's mouth is, I get laid a lot. What the hell? What the hell? Why? Joey, why? What's wrong with you? Honey, what's going on with you? Now, see, last episode we found out because Marge had said he was short. Marge said, oh, it's usually short men. They're the ones that got the big D. Okay, I didn't know he was short. I ain't never met this man, but it sounded like little man syndrome because when you think about it, he's always talking about sex. He works sex in there all the time, and it's weird to me. It doesn't matter where they are or what they're doing or who they're in front of. He just busts out with sex. Like, I mean, if there was bird watching and everybody had to be quiet or something, he probably would shout, sex! I mean, what? Hush now. He cannot seem to stop talking about sex. It's like, what is wrong with you? Frank says that Dolores has called a family meeting. Okay. And he knows what it's about. He knows it's about him and his daughter and him. First of all, well, here's the thing. This is multi-level. This is multi-level. All right. Because first of all, it has to do with him not finishing the house. Okay. The mother of his children and his children holding him accountable for a promise that he made. That's what it's about. He wants to come back and live with them. So I'm going to ask right now, is this made up? And so at this time is when Frank kind of jokes with the guys and tells them, when did this happen? Meaning, I have to answer to my kids now. They get grown and now we have to answer to them. When did that happen? So I thought that was funny because, of course, we know he is referring to the vet. All right, his daughter, who is pissed about him wanting to come and move back into the home that he's had for, I think Dolores said, over 20 years. Yeah, his daughter is pissed, and so they're having a family meeting. Okay, moving along. Now, Joey mentions that he asked Teresa, why did she invite Jen to the pool party? Let me say this. First of all, Teresa can't invite whoever the hell she want to invite. It ain't your party, it's her party. You got a lot of nerve. In current time, let me tell you guys, Teresa was recently on Watch What Happens Live, and she said, when Andy brought this up, how dare she invite Jennifer, blah, 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 after talking about her brother, Jenny. And she said, look, this was off camera. She said, but I told Jennifer, you got to make this right. She said, they just went out last night. Andy said, who went out last night? She said, my brother and Jennifer, they had a double date last night. they're good. But anyway, and then they mention that Frank called to check in on Bill and Joey called to check in on Bill, which I'm a little surprised because he kept talking shit about him behind his back. But now we know, we can surmise, I'll surmise for us. This is a huge element of Joey when he turns into Jenny is for the TV. Because when Bill would get up and walk, and a few times he just talks so much shit about Bill behind his back. Okay? Yet, in this scene, we find out that he called to check on him. Huh? What you checking in on him for? Let me bring my voice down. I'm sorry, y'all. What you checking in on him for? He just constantly acts like he do not like him. But you call to check on him. Let me tell y'all something. If there's somebody who I don't like, or I feel like their partner is toxic and they need to get their partner in check and this, that, and the other, and I don't feel bad for them and this, that, and the other, and I'm just talking shit in general about his unit, his whole family unit, I'm not calling and checking on them. You hear me? That's what I'm not going to do. Y'all drop down in them comments and let me know if you would call in and check on somebody and at the same time talk about them and their whole family behind their back. What kind of ugh? And if you say yeah, let me know why. How does that work? Because I don't know nothing about that. Anyway, continuing. So Frank says, yeah, he ain't doing good. He ain't doing good. And so Joey turns into Jenny being messy and talks to Joe, who turns into Joanna. And Jenny asks Joanna, which I'm talking about, Joey asks Joe if he called Bill. Joe says, hell no. We ain't cool. We are not cool. And he said, my wife against his wife, and quite frankly, shit, I'm afraid she gonna scratch my eyeball out. I'm gonna be one-eyed Joe. I'm gonna be one-eyed Joe. I ain't fucking with her. Continuing on. Alright, and one more thing. So at this drinking bonding that the guys are having, Joey does mention him and Gia and Teresa's girls, and how he feels about all of that. And what I appreciate about the Frankinator is that he simply looks at him and says, make it right. All right. Okay. So Tiki done gave him some good advice. Frank has given him some good advice. And I am so glad that in this episode we see him make it right. I honestly think that he had enough sense to know to squash it, but I also feel like he was willing to run with it as long as he possibly could, because they never have a storyline. Him and Melissa, I think the last storyline I can recall them actually having was when he opened that restaurant without talking to her about it. And that was, I don't know, 10,000 years ago? I don't know. All right, cut to Jackie and Evan go to dinner, and Evan asks slash begs Jackie to eat something, basically. Okay? And even that is cringeworthy for me, because if you recall, in my last recap, I showed you guys a picture where I put in the caption, please tell me she is eating more than 2 berries. I notice everything. I don't always have the time to create captions on this, that, and the other, which is actually why I'm going to do a little special. I'm going to surprise y'all with a special, and it still will be a surprise even though I just said it. But anyway, I notice everything. And it's not even just about these shows. That's just who I am in my real life. I notice details. I notice everything. And so it spills over here on my channel. And I noticed that lady didn't eat a lot. And then I rolled through the film and I saw that they do show her before with more fruit. But again, she was kind of picking at it. We never see her eat it. And that, for me, stood out. I'm like, this lady is not eating. And I wondered in my mind, are they going to address it? Now, of course, in the last recaps, I didn't know if they was going to address it. I was wondering, but I saw it. So I'm happy about the fact that she is out in the open talking about it. And not only talking about it, they're talking about their children noticing it. She's devastated. And she's saying she's going to get help. Okay, round of a freaking applause. Round of an applause. Round of an applause. Round of applause. Round of applause. Round of applause. Yes, Jackie. Yes, honey. Yes, you take that step. Step into healing. Okay? Step into healing. Step into it. Because I'm just so happy. I am happy. I'm happy. I am happy that it's being talked about on national television, on a show that a lot of us relate to. So, what that means is, even if you don't have that issue, you're watching it, and someone who may be in your presence may be watching it with you because that's what you watching. And whether they have that issue in private, they may know someone who has that issue. And they may now get the courage to speak up and speak to said person or take that first step to get help. That's what I loved about the scene. And that's what I'm going to say about that scene. That's what's most important about that scene, okay? And then she talks about wanting to have a kegger and go back to college. All right. Ew, ew. Okay. Ew. Okay, sorry, college. Those okay, those were some cool days. Anyway, moving right along, but on the same page. So, Jackie, we see Jackie call. I wonder if they filmed all her calls to them. But anyway, they play Jackie's call to Jennifer, where she invites her to the keg party. Okay. And so basically, Jackie tells Jennifer that Dolores is not the friend that she thinks she is. So I can only surmise that Jennifer begins to cry because after the invite is officially made, then Jennifer says, and it sounds like she's crying, she says, well, Teresa's out of town. And if Dolores is not my friend, then who am I gonna have? I can't ask you to be there for me. And that's true. So girl, recognize. Recognize. But at the same time, see, I can't relate to Jennifer on her, which now it appears to be extreme level of sensitivity, okay? I can't relate on the sensitivity and the crying going and carrying on this long and this far. But I can relate to that logic. Like, okay, check this out. Okay, y'all the group of the mean girls. Y'all ain't effing with me. Teresa, the only one effing with me. Well, Teresa, she thought, Teresa and Dolores, but like Teresa out of town. Teresa really the only one that got my back, and you are putting the nail in the coffin, letting me know Dolores sure ain't got your back, girl. Okay, so y'all think y'all gonna gang up on me? What? Now see, that's how I would have said it, but she said it with some tears or whatever, tearfully. Um, but the thing about it is though, me, if it was my job, understand me, I still would go. I still would go. I don't care because the thing about it is, like I said, she's there's let me go ahead and say this. This is how I feel for real. Okay. Now she ended up going because she said, I gotta see if Bill could go because if Bill can't go, I can't make it. I just can't do it. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me put some logic in it. Let's sage this out. Okay. Let's go ahead and sage this all the way out. Listen here. Why can't you go? You can go, girl. As she has already said, it happened in the show. She says it happened 10 years ago, but in reality, when she's interviewed now, she says 11 years ago. Okay, boo boo. Okay, listen, sweetheart. This happened a decade ago. You all right? It's been weeks since this has been announced. The reason why I know it's been weeks is because Jackie says, "Woo, it's been a long time. I feel like I haven't talked to you since Dolores's party." Okay, and it was announced at Teresa's party. So you done had weeks, possibly months, and you're still crying? Okay, listen. I am not saying there's a certain amount of time to shed tears and then you have to stop. That's not what I'm saying, so don't get it twisted. There's two things I'm saying. The first thing is that if it were me, I wouldn't be crying anymore. Okay? I would be able to show up and get my party on. Okay? Get my party on. The second thing I'm saying is that there's more to this. Do you hear me? She is not crying this long over one infidelity that happened 10 years ago. For her to be crying for weeks, possibly months, okay, over one infidelity 10 years ago, there's more under the surface. It's not just that. It's not just that. Mark my word. I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet. There's more bubbling up under the surface. That's all it is. You know, it's like it had a thin skin on top of it, and Margaret was the bitch that came along and like poked it or scrapped it off or scraped it off, and now everything that was under the surface is just oozing out. It's just oozing out. And we just don't know yet, but it'll come. Watch me. Watch what I tell you. Because all of this sensitivity, and it's been this long, and it's still, she cried like it's fresh. She cried like it's fresh. Baby, it's something else under there. That's all I'm saying. But no, I do not feel like I'm judging or the one to judge or as if anyone should judge anyone's length of time of crying. No one is allowed to judge how long someone grieves anything. However, I'm just saying that the way she's crying as if it happened fresh when this incident actually happened at least a month or longer ago, there's something else under the surface. All right, and Teresa arrives at Louie's. Teresa and Louie host family night for healing. Okay. Healing and love. And as soon as she walks in, they begin cooking together. And it's a beautiful thing. All right. In the confessional, Teresa says, Louie's not afraid to show his feelings. He journals every day. He does positive affirmations. He's all about communicating and not holding things inside. Now, me, honey, I love it. I love it. And I think that's so beautiful. I really, really do. Okay. And I really do feel like that's exactly what Teresa needs. All right. And I don't even know Teresa like that. I just know what I seen on TV. And I do feel like I agree with Frank Jr. because Frank Jr. has said that Louis is exactly what Teresa needs. And with Gabriella coming with her mom and being there, I would have put her to work. Basically, they showed her sitting there and like on the bar stool watching them cook and prepare, and you know, it just seems like they are all busy, including Louis' brother was there. He was out on the grill, and she's just sitting there rolling her eyes. Okay, sweetie, honey, nope, nope, and nope, baby, no. Intently listening to them or rolling her eyes. She'd have to get herself up in there and wash some fruits and vegetables and slice and dice and arrange them nice. Okay, something, something. But at 16, she could actually be cooking. So she would be my sous chef. Joey and his family shows up. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but I did. So everybody gives everybody a hug, all right? All the kids are like, oh my God, we haven't seen you in so long. Oh. All right. And that's sweet. Now, I see it's almost as if it's a line, okay? It's almost as if the Judices are going down, and their backs are towards us, the viewers, which is the camera. And the Gorgas, their front is facing us, and they're going to the left. The guidances are going down to the right. Okay, and I'm saying that this way because that's what it appears to be, and it's kind of a hallway. All right. Now, when Melania gets to Joey, Uncle Joey, baby, she keeps looking around like she lost. She don't know who to hug. Okay, and then Joey, he must say something, which there's a voiceover, so we don't hear what he says. And then Melania turns and looks at him and gives him a hug. Like, ooh, I didn't see you there. Girl, you know you saw your uncle. You know you saw your uncle. And I'm going to be honest, the reason why that popped out in my mind, probably so relevant and prevalent, first and foremost, before I saw any other hugs, was because I've been in that situation before myself. Okay. When one of your family members have tap danced all over your nerves and stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, the next day it's Christmas and y'all gotta see each other or whatever. But then you do it anyway. That's when I give what I call that two pat back. Two pat back, which means, you lightly go in and you go 1, 2, boom, I'm done. Don't nobody like to be disrespected. Let me put it like that, okay? And when a person is disrespected, whether you are a spiritual person or not, you still don't like it. Now, Joey makes fun of Louis' way of, asking them to communicate and heal. Because to me, it was a healing ceremony. Get into it. A healing ceremony. Get all the way into it. Y'all need to heal, man. Shit. Stop trying to be macho and don't talk about sex. Joey/Jenny, heal the family. Joey complains in his confessionals saying he don't even know what Louis is talking about. He don't even understand what he's saying. He don't even know because that ain't what they do. Man, what you talking about, man? That's how he's acting in his confessional. Which reminds me, I don't feel like the men's need to have confessionals. I don't want these men having confessionals because Joey didn't show up. Jenny did. Drop down in them comments. Let me know what you think. So, through this communication exercise that Louis has introduced to them, healing does come through because Melania does get the opportunity to tell her uncle how she feels. He sees how it has caused so much anxiety and hurt feelings. Like, I always say hurt people hurt people. So obviously Joey was hurt and it came out and he projected it. And the way that he decided to deal with his pain ended up hurting his nieces. And so he was able to see that and he apologized for it. And I am so much hoping that we can put this behind us because I like that they are healing and I don't want Melissa and Joey to use this as their storyline. They need to actually get a real effing storyline or get off of the television. Okay. So, with all of that happening, Joey actually does turn to Louis, and I know Bravo did it on purpose, sit them two next to each other on that little swing or whatever. But anyway, he turns to Joey turns to Louis and thanks him for doing that. And it did seem heartfelt because I was looking, which tells me that mess he talks in his confessionals, it's all for show. Okay, which lets me know even more that they've got to go. They've got to go. All right, him and Melissa, bye bye.
The party is going to start, but of course, Bravo shows us the ladies getting ready. Now, the one that I'm going to mention, the only one I'm going to mention, is Tracy and Tiki. And as they are getting ready, they are talking about Bill and Jennifer's situation, and both of them are able to sympathize with them, which I think is great. Now, later on at the Kegger party, Tracy ends up speaking up, baby, and speaking up loud to Margaret
when Margaret was talking about when Jennifer arrives, she doesn't want to see her crying. She doesn't need to be crying, and basically saying that she needs to get over it. To which Tracy spoke up and spoke out like a true housewife, okay, and told Margaret that you don't get to tell someone when to stop crying when they're hurt. And that's true. And Margaret was basically saying that, a 40-something-year-old woman shouldn't still be crying. And here's the thing. Margaret mentioned something about the hypocrisy of it. If she believes that Jennifer should be over it, why isn't she over it? Okay? All right? Get into that. Because, see, a year or so ago is when Jennifer offended Margaret by talking about what Margaret said in her book, which Margaret admitted that her and her mom were cheaters in her book. Okay. Jennifer talked about that a year ago, if not longer, and she's still upset about it. But yet you want Jennifer to get over what you did in a couple of weeks. But anyway, I was here for Tracy. A lot of people are not here for Tracy, and even Margaret was saying, girl, be quiet, mind your business, this don't have nothing to do with you. But let me tell you guys something. She's there to be a housewife and be messy just like all the rest of them. If she was 100% silent and quiet, we would all be complaining, saying, why is she even there? So it's like, if she speak up, people are upset. If she don't speak up, we would be upset. I think it's great that she spoke up. That's what she's there for, okay? She's not there to just stand around and sip on whatever. I think it's great, too, that she's not afraid to have a different opinion. All right, because Melissa's the one that brought her on the show, and she has a different opinion than Melissa. So Jennifer and Bill shows up, and straight away Bravo shows Tracy talking to Jennifer, and they show Bill and Tiki talking. All right, and one thing that Bill said that I liked, Tiki asked him if he was all right, and he said, yep, I am okay, I'm still alive, whether they like it or not. I said, you better come through, Bill. Okay, you better come through, Bill. Jackie soon joins Tracy and Jennifer. All right, but right before Dolores goes over there, we have a scene where Margaret is like, I don't want to talk about Jennifer no more. She looks at Dolores and says, how's David? To which, Dolores goes ahead and says that, they broke up and she don't want to talk about it. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Margaret sort of had a smirk on her face when she asked Dolores, how's David? I think that Margaret, we haven't seen it yet. We haven't heard her say it, but I have a feeling that Margaret has a bone to pick with Dolores, because I think she wants Dolores to clearly pick a side. This is just me guessing. And since she hasn't, I think she has a bone to pick with her. And I think that's the reason why several times Margaret has brought up David. And she's had a smirk on her face. Even when she said that her home was like a bachelorette pad, she had a smirk on her face. And I think Margaret knows that Dolores didn't want to talk about it. I don't know. It just, something's there. Something's there. I don't know what it is. Dolores goes over to check on Jennifer, and Jennifer goes ahead and tells her that Jackie said that, she wasn't her friend. And Jackie comes over and admits, yes, I did say that. I don't feel like you're her friend. So on and so forth. And then Margaret senses, her little super gossipy Spidey senses that they're over there arguing, and she goes over there to see what it's all about. And Dolores says that she's both Jennifer's friend and Margaret's friend the same. And Margaret says, no, you're my friend. You're more of my friend. You're more of my friend. You're more of my friend. You're my friend. And Dolores then tells Jennifer that she'll work on it, but that she's not going to worry about this thing. And the thing that she's referring to and like waving away is Jackie. To which Jackie says, don't disrespect me. I'm not a thing. Don't call me thing. Dolores gets all up in Jackie's grill and says, what are you gonna do about it? And then it's dun dun dun, to be continued. Now before it flashed to be continued, we did see them pulling Dolores away. So if I had to guess, they're not going to get in a fight, and I'm glad, because I'm like, okay, y'all don't be putting hands on each other. But I did feel like that was disrespectful, for Dolores to call Jackie a thing. That was disrespectful. Now, also, I feel like Jackie was drunk. I feel like if Jackie was not drunk, okay, not drunk, but drunk, okay, I feel like if she was not drunk, then she could have not been so confrontational. I'm not saying that it's okay for somebody to call you a thing, because it's not. However, that's nothing to fight. Like, that's nothing to physically want to fight over, okay? Because it's just words. It's just words. I'm not going to fight over words. I'm not. I mean, that's something that may have been done in my early 20s or late teenage years or whatever. But, the age that we are, who needs to be fighting over a word? Okay, knock it off. But I think that was that liquid courage. Okay. So anyway, that's basically it. And meet me down in the comments, all right? I'd love to know what you guys think about it. All right?
So, we've just finished the recap and review by moi, Indigo Sage. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So, because we discussed it tonight, and this is a heavy topic that I am close to, I decided I can't talk about this without providing resources. So the resources are coming right up right now. And what I want you guys to know is that you are not alone. You're not. You're not alone. Okay? There's no reason to feel like you're alone, and no reason to feel ashamed. A lot of the resources are allowing you to be anonymous. They really are simply that, resources. So if you need to take advantage of them, please do. All right? Not just for you, but also for those around you who are very dear to you, and that you just might be affecting them unknowingly. Okay? Until next time, bye.